It's the summertime and I thought my clothes were really lacking. I didn't like any of the pieces that I had, and so naturally 2 days before I go on vacation, I decided to make a few pieces that I would feel confident in this summer. Without further ado, let's get into Sew with Soap, where I show you how to sew stuff.
Darling, you send me, I know you send me.
To start off, I'm making a bodysuit out of leggings. I guess technically this could be a swimsuit, but it's only one layer, so I just wear it as a bodysuit. Cutting along the inseam and the crotch seam gave me the most amount of fabric to work with. I folded over each layer, so one leg would be the front half and the other leg would be the back half, if that makes sense. The way that one of the legs folded over didn't allow me for the front piece to perfectly fit, so I had to cut it in half and sew it back again later.
Now I find myself wanting to marry you and take you home.
And here's me just sewing that seam on the front piece.
Send me, I know you send me, I know you send me.
I serged along all of the raw edges because I didn't want anything to fray. This just makes everything look nice and professional and makes sure that nothing stretches too far. Next, I sewed along that crotch seam. This part is completely optional, but I've seen some cutout bodysuits on Pinterest lately, and I thought it would be fun to try it out. I didn't have a plan or a pattern for this, so I just kind of winged it and hoped it would work out. I layered the top piece on the back piece so I could get the exact same shape when I cut it out. You already know the drill by now. It's time to serge the raw edges. I did a really bad job of showing this, but I also serged up the sides of the suit as well. Since the serger isn't perfect and the seams can come out really easily, I took this over to my sewing machine where I did a zigzag stitch to make sure that those seams didn't come undone. This part was more painful than cutting out the pattern because there were so many seams that I needed to secure. After about 10 minutes, it was all done though.
I wanna wake up in another state without this big old weight on top my back and stay for a while. I wanna.
For this next project, let's just ignore all of the wrinkles that I did not care to iron out. I started out by flipping the pillowcase inside out, and there was a little section that I seam ripped so that I could get more fabric out of it. Something I've learned is that if you seam rip the bobbin part, so the back side of the fabric, it's a lot easier to just rip out a few stitches and then rip down the center like this. I seam ripped the sides as well because I wanted to conserve as much fabric as possible.
I wanna tiptoe across the open unknown where golden sun meets white snow and call this old van my home. I wanna kiss her in front of all these.
Here I am draping the skirt on myself to see how it fits. Pin the side where it would tie so I could start making darts because there is this little gaping piece that didn't really fit me right. Making darts is a really easy way for your clothes to fit better. All you have to do is pinch how much fabric you need to take in, and then on your sewing machine, make a little triangle stitch. I pinned about 1/2 inch in and about 3 inches down and just sewed along that line.
Just wanna live like I'm supposed to. Just wanna dance. So go ahead.
Most important thing about darts is to just try it on again and again to see if it fits. Thankfully, after my first try, it fit pretty well. Serger isn't necessary for a hem, but I really like it because I feel like it goes a lot faster and it gives a more professional hem. For the ties, I just used some string that I already had and attached it by rolling the hem under twice and tucking in one of the ends.
I don't wanna waste no more time living out someone else's life.
Tried it on again and it was a little bit awkward, so I had to make a loophole in the back for one of the strings to go through. My machine doesn't have an attachment for a buttonhole, so I just cut a little slit in it and did a really short zigzag stitch and went around all 4 edges.
Take back what's mine. My heart's been longing for life.
I think this one turned out to be my favorite by far. Pants are relatively easy to make if you have a solid pattern to work off of. Speaking of patterns, it's super easy to find really cheap patterns at the thrift store. Like, this is one I got for $1.99 and it works perfectly. Can we take a moment to appreciate how cool these instructions are? Granted, I never read the instructions because they just confuse me, so I just try to wing it and see how it goes. I pinned the front piece of my pants so I always remembered which one was the front. Then for each side, I sewed the crotch seam. Next step is to put the pieces right sides together and sew along the inside seam. And once that's done, I sewed along the outside seams as well. I also serged the top part and the hem for the pants just because it was easier and faster. Instead of making these pants like regular denim pants, I opted for an elastic waistband just because it was a lot faster. To do this, all you have to do is roll over the hem once and then attach the waistband by just looping it through the hole that you created. It was 1 a.m. at this point, so bear with me. The lighting's bad, I didn't film that many clips. But I started out by measuring how big I wanted the triangle to be by measuring the height and width. Before cutting out, I made sure to add 1 inch to this measurement so that I'd have room for seam allowance. I cut out 4 triangles and 6 strings. And just like I did with the skirt, I created some darts about halfway down the inner part of the triangle. Making all 6 strings was the death of me. I have no idea what possessed me to try to tackle this like 6 hours before we were supposed to leave for our trip. Nonetheless, this loop turner made the process a lot less painful. To attach the strings, I just sandwiched them in between the 2 triangles, right sides together, and sewed along all the sides. By this point, it was 2 in the morning and I had given up on filming clips, so I'll just explain. I turned the triangles right side out and used this little rectangle belt loop to thread through the 2 strings in the middle. It'll make more sense when you see it, just hang on.
2, 3, funky.